as the Penn State case proceeded, and every now and then there'd be some reports in the media about where the case was and so on, my sense was that people who were putting a lot of weight on this case to really make a change, bring attention to this issue and have somebody be held accountable for this discrimination. There were a lot of people who were sort of very expectant, very interested, very committed to, hopeful, that this case was going to lead to some serious consequences for discrimination finally. And I know when Penn State completed their own internal investigation and found, that Portland was guilty of, I think the 3 words were hostile, intimidating, and offensive. She was guilty of creating that climate, on her team. Wow, I mean, those are serious words. And then, fined her $10,000 and said she had to go to diversity training. On the one hand, I thought, wow, this is great that an institution has made this determination. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, so what? I mean, they're just words if there's no, real backup. So I think me and a lot of people, we're just very disappointed, in that part of it. But I also thought, well, maybe that will really have an influence on the lawsuit if Penn State's own internal investigation, found her guilty of creating a hostile and an intimidating and offensive climate, that surely that will affect, the lawsuit. When the settlement was announced, I'll be honest, my first reaction was a disappointment, because I really had hoped that she was going to have to pay with her job, that she would be held completely accountable. I think in retrospect, and after talking to some friends who are lawyers about the nature of lawsuits and settlements and so on, that was probably an unrealistic expectation from the beginning in this case. But so I had to kind of let go of that and try to look for, okay, well, what is the good in this settlement, even though that was hard to do because it's confidential and we don't know any of the specifics. But a lot of my reaction to, after I sort of got over my initial disappointment, was that I have tremendous confidence in the NCLR lawyers, and I know how committed they are to doing right by their clients and changing the climate in athletics. They do terrific work, and they're very committed to it. So part of my reaction had to be trusting them to have worked hard to get the best settlement that they could. So there was a piece of that. And the other thing I think that's a positive outcome of the settlement is, even though Rene Portland is still going to be on the sidelines, I just feel like the Penn State basketball program, it's such a tragedy for Penn State, but that program is tainted, and that stain is never going away until Rene Portland does. It's difficult for me to imagine that this is not going to forever affect her ability to recruit athletes there. I think the culture is changing. I mean, that may have been okay for her to say, I won't allow lesbians on my team in 1985. I don't think that's so okay in 2007. And certainly there will be athletes and parents who will be attracted to that. But I think less and less. I really think that's a policy of the past.